Hey folks, welcome back to the Practical Microservices stream. Why don't I actually get logged in over here on Twitch? Hey Crispy Chicken, hope you're having a good day. We're just continuing with prep for the meetup tonight. Just got a little bit more to do there. Hopefully get it all done today. Had a little bonus streaming last night. I think we're in a pretty good place with it though. Where we got to is we have the substitute written and it is working. We're getting we're able to write with it and then actually check what we wrote with. And one thing that is maybe a little bit missing, I'm not sure if it's something we need to add, but I would like to add this notion of the message writer, something along those lines so that we can really see this working. Pardon me. I don't want to deal with having a bunch of repositories for this one though. So I'm thinking I'll just cram a bunch of things into here. Like in general, I don't like mono repos as they're called, where you have all of your various projects in one repository. But why do I feel different about it in this case? I think it's because it's not about being able to do things faster with lots of different repositories, but it scales better. And speed is far more important to me right now than scaling to a large development team is, because this project's deadline is tonight and no one else is going to work on it. So that's neat. My water bottle has some water falling out of it. Whatever. Okay. Okay. So the thing that we are borrowing this design from, it has this write concept, and it looks to make it so that you could have different specific writers. So it's messaging right, and you can use Postgres or whatever. As long as you conform to the interface, you could write to some other storage medium as well. So my plan is to just write stuff to a text file. So I really don't like the name, excuse me, of this folder anymore. And this module, this is totally not the right name for it anymore. So I think it's more like it's text writing. We're writing text to files. So the thing that we copied from is messaging, right? I think I'm just going to change it to text. Yep, that's what we're going to do. So we have tests that run now, so we can refactor things and see if we did it correctly. So let's do that real quick. Yeah, let's go ahead and move this, and then this would just become text writer. Because you could write text to a file, you could write it to lots of different places. So yeah, this name is working for me. Change you to text as well. A whole bunch of stuff is going to fail as a result of that change, but that's fine. I know more or less what it is. Just basically have to go into almost every file, and if I knew how to use things like sec, things like, what's it called? Sed. No, it's sec, and it's not sec, it's sed, and awk. There we go. I was combining sed and awk into sec, which is the French word for dry. So how about that? So this would just be text write. Okay. Oh, what happened here? Oh, right, because the file's all moved. So let's just close everything. All right, no, quit everything. Good life advice. Just kidding. Telemetry enabled substitute. This should be text. Great. Then we'll go into controls. You would be text. That's fine if there's a text controls text. That doesn't bother me. Text and wait for it. Text into our right folder. We do the same thing. Could I open Visual Studio Code and do the same thing faster? Yes, but then I'd have to open Visual Studio Code. Do I have a moral stance against doing so? I don't know, but I'm a stubborn individual sometimes, and that's more what it's about right now. Oops. Oh, that was funny. At the same time that I keyed something on my laptop, something showed up on the computer running the stream saying, hey, this there's an update for this thing that if I shut it off during the stream will break. So guess what I'm not going to run right now? That, just in case you were wondering. Let's see, automated write substitute. These I think don't change at all because of how we include stuff in the test init file. So this would just have to become, first of all, we would get rid of, or not get rid of, but rename that. And like so, and I think we should be good to go. Oh, I missed something. What did I miss? Probably in it. Indeed. How's that? Didn't like that. Uninitialized constant text controls text write. Did I miss? Where did I miss this? Let's see. Text controls write line 9. Oh, right. Because we have a control called text. And so since we're in this controls namespace, when we said text, it just went up to this level. Okay, that's fine. Now good to go. There we go. Okay, rename complete. Fantastic. Which MacBook version am I using right now? I have an M1 something or other. One of those two. Hi, Alvi, by the way. I got it earlier this year, I think. Was it this year? No. No, it was last year. I don't remember what year it was. I think it was last year. Yeah, I got it like January of last year or something. Okay, so that is that. But now we want to add a text file. This would be like messaging Postgres. Ooh. Hang on one. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Right. So there's messaging, and then we also have a messaging Postgres, but within there, it's just in lib messaging Postgres. So I think then if I could find the right window there. I don't think it's an M2 chip. Those, do they even have those in laptops yet? I'm not sure. Let's have a look. See. MacBook Pro. They do. Yeah, mine is not M2. I don't think they had that in MacBooks when I got mine. They had them in iPads, but they only added them to the laptops this year, I think. We can find out when to buy Apple products. There's this great website here that keeps track of when Mac updated their stuff. So here we go. Yeah. So yeah, it was in January of this year. Okay, so I did not get mine this year. I got it last year. Huh. That tracks, yeah. So no, just an M1. They're really nice chips. They did a good job on them. And I'm typically pretty critical of Apple, but they won me back. The laptops they had since like 2017, I thought weren't very good. The thing with the touch bar and that strange butterfly keyboard. Wasn't a fan of those, but the new ones are great. They did a good job on that hardware. So let's see. If this were in a separate repository, that separate repository would have a lib text. And then it would go into the special folder for file, like so. So that's how I'm going to organize this. Out of curiosity, why do you ask about the machine specs? I'm a little cagey sometimes about revealing information on the internet. So I'm going to be cagey right now, but just curious. Enough to get the job done, let's say that. Haven't had any troubles. I don't really do anything that's that, excuse me, researching on getting one. Fair. I don't remember. Gotta hit the right buttons. Yeah, I got 64 gigs on mine, so it's a beast. That is far more than I need. I have some friends who do almost exactly the same kind of development work that I do. And like, they're just fine with a MacBook Air for it. And honestly, I would have been too. But I guess fear of missing out kicked in. It doesn't take a lot of memory to run a terminal emulator. Anyway, what was I doing? Right, we're trying to make this file writer here. Yeah, okay, so let's see. Test automated. We're going to put a file in here, which will need a write and then a text, I believe is kind of the file structure we've gone with in these. Oh no, it's till write. So file, write. What else are we going to write besides text? So let's see here. That wasn't what I wanted to do. All right, let's just get rid of that. And to here, we will write file, write, like so. And I don't love the idea of having, excuse me, all of a sudden I'm coughing a lot. So the code for this stream is not actually going to be there. I haven't, might need to change the commands here. I haven't pushed it up yet. I'm going to push it up at some point today, but I just haven't done it yet. But that, what shows up in the chat right there, that's the code for the overall port of the book code. The meetup is happening tonight though, so that should be fun. I will be doing that at 6:30 my time, which I'll be, if I remember from last night correctly, excuse me, will be 6:30 a.m. your time. So if you want to start your day with how to make your tests observable, then you can just follow that link. We'll post it to YouTube though when we're done though. At some point after we're done, I'm like 2 months behind in getting those posted. Let's see, trying to recapture my train of thought here. Right, I wanted to go look at the messaging Postgres tests and see what they do. Let's see, you actually write. Yeah, it is going to actually go to the message store because it has to. That's, you can't rely on the telemetry anymore at that point. Something has to actually write. We want to make sure that works. So module would be text. Nope, this is a test file, not starting another code class yet. So require relative We need to go up one to get our automated init. And let's make sure that works. Test automated file right. Then we're in context, text, context, file. No, we're not in context text. We're just context file. And context right. Do. Nice. And we're still running. Great. So let's see. What we would need to do is get some text to write, and we can grab that from our lovely text control. We're still running. Great. And now this is where we need to get the right class. So I'm going to go back to Eventide real quick. This right that we see right here, if I am not mistaken, and I am mistaken often enough that it's worth double checking. Let's see here. Test init. We include messaging Postgres. Interesting. If that is the case, then does that mean that this right is the messaging right one? And if that's the case, then how would this work? So I don't think this could possibly be the base messaging right. It would have to be the Postgres variant, I think. Is there something different and automated in it? I don't see something different. Oh, my goodness. Messaging Postgres. They're right in front of me. Messaging Postgres. Test init. Yes. Okay, good. All right. I may still be crazy, but it's for a different reason, as I like to say. Okay, yes, so that is calling the bear, or not the bear, the actual implementation specific version of write that would go out to the Postgres message store. So we'll have a similar function to which we'll pass the test. And now this is where the test starts breaking because we haven't defined that yet. Well, okay. We do have it because we're doing this all in the same repository. So the right way to do it would be to say we want the file right. And that file module doesn't exist yet. We haven't made that. Wait, that worked? How on earth did that work? Undefined method call for text write module. No, that's not right. That file thing isn't defined anywhere. Oh, wait a second. No. This, what is that referring to? Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Test automated file write. I don't think this should be in scope right now. So maybe if I went like so, uninitialized constant text file. That's what I wanted to see. File is actually a Ruby construct though, so that was bound to fail anyway, I think. Although where did module file come from? Grep, recursive, show me the line numbers, module file. Under lib, how about under test? That error message made no sense to me. All right, I better put myself on do not disturb for 1 hour. Neat. Okay. Okay, I'm going to give myself 5 minutes to figure out why that error message said what it said. I'm confused by it because test automated file write line 7. Undefined method call for text write module. Which I agree the module itself, which is located right here, text right, does not have a call method on it. What I don't understand is why file right here refers to this module. That doesn't make any sense to me. I think what it should have said was that there is a top level module called file, and it, I don't think, has a right constant on it. So that would have made sense. Or that it couldn't find file in the first place. So how does this reference this? What would have happened if we had done something like file Bob? What did we get then? Uninitialized constant file Bob. Okay, yeah, I can go with that. Or that makes sense, but why does file text not give us the same thing? Unless there already is such a thing. Nope, that doesn't. That's the error I would have expected to get. I wonder, does testbench introduce any constants from this, or are those just strings? My guess would be it's just strings. So let's go have a look at that. Self.context. Evaluate session. Context title. Where does this come from? Context title. What? Is this calling that? No, that doesn't seem right. Where is def context? Output buffer. Output raw. Those are test files. Lib. Deactivation variants. Parse arguments. Oh, that one hurts. I would call this again. That would be nil. In either case, it doesn't look like it introduces anything into the namespace, which is good. I mean, that's what I would expect. How on earth does this reference this module? I don't know, but you know what? Don't have time to worry about it right now. So we're going to go back out to the top level. And file is not, oh, whoops, is not a constant on that yet. So we should get an error about it. Yep. Okay, fine. Works for me. So let's see. Text file right.rb is what we would want to make there. And so we'd go module, text, module, file. And is this one a module or is this one a class? I believe this one's a class that includes the base level right module. So we can test that by coming here. And yes, that is a class. Great. So you would be a class right, like so. We need to get that into our load path. I think to try to make this more like something we could extract later, we could add a file.rb. And in here, we would require text file right, like so. And then we could come up here to this one and say require text file. Now that constant should be defined. It was not. Okay, what did I get wrong? Module text, module file. Oh, because this is supposed to be right and not text. Typed the wrong thing. Undefined method call for text file write class. Indeed, because we don't have one on here. Okay, the error at least makes sense though, and I love getting errors that make sense. So what we would want to include here is text write. Still don't have a call method though, because we never put one on the base class here. So that is where doing another module comes into play. Well, we can just module call. And pretty sure I can do this one from memory though. So what would we do? We need to get an instance. Well, actually we need a call method to add here. So we need to get an instance of ourselves. So that would be from the build method. No parameters taken there. We would say instance.configure. Is that what we would do? Maybe I can't do this from memory. Oh, I'm not so prideful that I need to do it from memory. Build. Oh, silly. No, building configures the. Where are we? If it's built, we're ready to go. We could then just say instance call you with the text we're supposed to write. And so that would need it to be an argument like so. I believe now the test should pass. Huzzah. That's good stuff right there. All right, so that's what we wanted. But now we need a way to read the contents of that file that is supposedly written. Do we need to care about where they're written to? No, we're just going to assume that there is a particular file path that everything gets written to. Because this isn't about designing a perfect file writer. It's about showing telemetry. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. Here, let's just make those equal again. So that would be something that belongs to this. So what I want to put in here is nothing yet. It wouldn't go here because we need this text writer concept right here. Do we need that? So the way that the event tied one works is we can open up the Postgres write. And all the differentiation happens when the thing configures itself. And it does that by using the message store Postgres right there. So let's look at the messaging right again. And when we configure, we say instance build thyself. Then we'd say instance configure thyself, and here is the session. And so the way that it does that is by then calling out to this one. And that's why it doesn't have to define a call method on itself, because it just uses this one, which reaches for the message writer to actually do the writing. Could just do it as a virtual method instead of having this secondary collaborator here. No, couldn't, because we need this call method to run properly. Sorry, not that one. We need the one over in our project to run. So yeah, we're going to need another class here to actually write the file. So we're going to put a pin in this one. So I'm just going to do a refute true. Well, our test was passing, so now we should get an assertion failure. There you go. Now we can't forget to finish that test later, but we need something. Oh, what just happened? We need something else in the meantime, which is an equivalent of the message store Postgres, right? What would be a good equivalent for that? Because text is messaging. What's the lower level concept at play here? I don't think there is one, so this is feeling a little strange. Oh man, this is where copying things doesn't always work, because we don't have all the same concepts in play here, not even analogs of one another. Oh, I definitely want this to have a configure, and its job is going to be other thing I do not know name for dot configure onto self at message writer. So I want to get to there, but what is this other thing? I don't want to use the word write again. That's too far. Writer doesn't sound right. So messaging became message store. Storage? Don't love that either. Messaging. Maybe text is the wrong thing here. Maybe it's message store versus storage. What if it is storage and we have a storage file? Yeah, we're going to go with that. Text is a higher level concept than storage. Storage is just arbitrary bytes put somewhere. Text is an arrangement of bytes that means something. So let's go and add a storage folder like so. And that is what we'll do. So coming back here, we'll add a storage and I don't know, file. Sure. And then store. Like that. However, there's some more shuffling around that we need to do. Now that text has a sibling, I would like the automated test to reflect that as well. So you are going to need to go into a text folder, and you are also going to have to go into a text folder, which means all of those tests are going to fail now because their path to automated init is different, but we'll fix that when we come back to it. So storage, file, store. Okay, I can get behind that. So test, oh no, that's not what we wanted. Oh, hey, the gem spec is still named incorrectly. So you know what? We're just going to leave that one the way that it is. because that's the container for all this other stuff. And no one's going to pull this in and use it anyway. So I'm fine with that. All right, so let's open this file here. So we want test automated storage file store require relative. So that takes us to storage. That takes us to automated, which is where we would find automated init. Like that, Ruby test, automated, storage file, store. Great. Okay, so context here is storage. Do context file, because this is file-based storage. Context store. The verb store. We are going to store something. This is going to actually write to a file. But where do I get an example of the data? Do I duplicate some sort of a control? Probably. Yeah, the analog in the event-side code is that the message store gems are dealing with message data instances, which are lower level. They're just basically the raw rows that come back from the database. Whereas the messaging gems are dealing with higher level objects. We are literally just dealing with text. So some of this may feel a little duplicated, and that's just the way it's going to be. Controls text dot rb we'll have, and then we'll also have a controls.rb file like so. We will also have a storage.rb file because we need to get all of this stuff into the load path. You are going to have require storage. Nope, you're not going to have that because that is just for tests that we have those. But you would have require storage controls text, and then you would be module. I can type storage module controls module text self. Nope. Def self dot example. And I don't want to do the same text example that we had before. So what's some another great line of text? We had so long and thanks for all the fish. That's a classic. Trying to be clever and creative online isn't going so well right now. Let's do a serious one. Let's paraphrase Deming here. You can't inspect quality into a product. That's an important message for everybody to learn. So we would need to get an example of text here, and we would get that from storage controls text, like so. That's not going to run because we haven't put that into the load path. So we would need to go to test init, like so, and require our storage controls. I'm not going to require storage into the namespace here because we're going to give text primacy. Great, we're passing that. Is what I expected, even though I didn't say it. So, this is going to have storage file, right? Which isn't there yet. So we need to add, well, I'm doing this a little out of order. So there would be file-based storage, and we can call that with our text. And now we'll get a name error because there is no storage file constant. Okay, great. So we come down here and we say storage file store, which incidentally is the name of the file we're working in. So storage.rb would now have require storage file store. And then we can close that one for right now. And where did you go? Storage file store. You are in the storage module, in the file module, but we're going to say you are a class called store. And you have a build method. I suppose we could deal with file names right here. So file name, this is where it's file name 2 words or 1. Let's go with it being 2 words for right now. I think I switched that every time I do a different project with it. But that's not actually the method that we need right now. We need a self.call. And then you would have to have the text that you want to store and the place where you're going to store it. We are not going to allow for a default. And I'm going to skip the test that would check to make sure that we have that. So we'll just get an error, wrong number of arguments if we don't pass one. And now we should be back to passing. Oh, why are we not? Storage file, right. We actually need to do that. Didn't like that, did you? Storage file is not a constant. Why is that? Did I not put this into the loader? Oh, because we haven't required that into the chain yet. That one would need to come first. Storage, there we go. Now we pass. No, we don't. Why do we not? Oh, right, because what did I just say? That you need to give it a file name. So with that being the case, need a file name here, module storage, module controls, module, file name, def self.example, and an example file name could be temp example.txt. Now that's going to be the same file every single time, and it would be really nice to clear that or use a random one. If it's random, it's not a control, it's not controlled, but I think that's okay. I don't mind if these files litter my hard drive a little bit. Well, no, hang on. We can just make sure to delete the file. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll just remove the contents of the file. That works. That'll be our thing. So we can be like, hey, get me the file name is equal to storage. I did this a little bit out of order too. Storage controls file name dot example. And also I forgot to call example up here. That is okay. I want to make sure this temp folder exists. Ooh. MA temp. And we will put a get keep file in there. The name of that file doesn't really matter. It just signals to people why that empty file is in there and that it should be kept. So with that then, let's see, Ruby delete contents of file. Delete all the content from a file in Ruby. File.open. So like you need to truncate file, something like blah. That's what we'll just do. And I'm just going to drop that right in here. And then we would put in our file name. And then because I'm obstinate. We're going to do that. Now what happens when we run this? Slow down. Okay. I didn't stop to think what would happen first. Let's add our file name control there. I think the test should pass. It did not. Why is it not pass? Oh, right, because we're still not passing the file name here. There we go. Now, did that actually create the file if you truncate something that doesn't exist? It does. Okay, so our example.txt is there. Guessing it's empty. Let's test that it does what we think it's doing here. Let's open that real quick and hello. Hello. That's fine because we're going to remove its content anyway. Yep. Okay, that's what it does. Fantastic. So we get an empty file. That's what we want. Then we're going to write to it, and then we are going to get the lines of that file, and we would do that with file.readLines, I believe, passing it the file name. And then we would say that test it wrote to the file. Not it, that's hipster twaddle. Text was written to the file. Do. And what we would want to say is that assert lines dot length equals 1. I want to get an assertion failure on line 16, and that is what we got. Fantastic. So now all we would need to do is actually write to that file. Now, the file name is kind of like the session of a database connection. So what we could say is we need to get an instance of ourselves, and we would do that by calling build, passing the file name like so. Build would make a new instance of our thing and pass in that file name. And so then we would need to make an initializer that receives that file name. And then we would say our file name equals file name, like so. An initializer receives arguments and copies them into the instance. That's what we want to see. So now that we have our instance, we could then say instance, passing it the text. Now we don't have a method named call on the store class. Yep. And I don't think we need that anymore either. So we can see more down here. So call text. And we'll just open the file each time we need to write to it, which is wasteful. We could put in some more complicated stuff about opening the file and whatnot, but I'm not going to worry about that for right now. So we'll say file open file name. We could make that an attribute accessor, but I'm not going to worry about that right now either. And we want to open that for writing plus appending. Do file, and then we can say file.put string text, because files are streams the same way that standard in and standard out are streams. So we just call puts on it. I think this should work now. Oh, it didn't. What did I do wrong? Curses and drat. Private method open called for storage. Ah, yes, indeed. We want to go out to the root namespace. There we go. Okay. That's when something in your hierarchy matches the name of stuff in the Ruby standard library. You hit collisions like that. Neat. Okay, so great. We wrote that, and now we want to make sure that test written text matches. So what we could say is our line that we care about is equal to lines.first or lines.fert. And then what we want to do is assert that line is equal to the text that we have. Doesn't match. Why is that? Oh no, that's not what I was expecting at all. All right, let's see what they are. Puts line dot inspect puts text dot inspect. Why aren't they not the same? Ah, that's what I thought. It preserves the new line on them. Fine. Dot trim. Oh, that's not quite testing the same thing though, is it? Oh, is that not? Maybe that's a Rails thing. All right, Ruby read. Let's see. File read lines without new line. Look at that. That's something people have searched before. Ah, you can pass a chomp param in there. So let's do that. Chomp true. And now we pass. Great. Thank you. You were so helpful. That was so helpful that I want to go give that an upvote, but I don't want to log into Stack Overflow on this stream here. So let's see. Ruby file read lines without new line character. How to remove line break. I think this is the same one. Yep, this is the same one. Fine. Necessary cookies only. Log in. I think this is the one I use for my account. It is not. Whoops. Okay. And this one is request lacked state may have been forged. More like you've been forged. I don't even know what that means. All right. Just want you to know I logged in so that I could upvote your answer. Also, your question was good, so you get an upvote as well. Okay. Neat. So our storage mechanism works. So now we want test automated text file, right? We want to run this one again. Now we're going to get a problem with our require path not working. We need to add another layer since we added one down in our tests. And our assertion fails. Like so. This one will also need to clear out the file that we are writing to. So I'm just going to open this again real quick. Grab this line. Like so. We come back to messaging. It has a stream name example because this is kind of like the stream name that we're dealing with right now. Does message store also have a control for stream names? It does. Neat. And it defines it itself. And I'm completely messing up that file. Okay, so I'm not going to feel bad about duplicating that. That's fine. You need controls of that in both places for it to make sense. There's nothing wrong with having the things that you need to make something work. You know what? Since they are so similar, though, I'm just going to copy that. Put that right in there. Instead of example.text, though, and of course, instead of that needs to be text. How do we do, like, I don't know, more, better example. I think I'm starting to panic code. That's fine. File name, like so. So I did this out of order. Oh well. File name. Controls file name dot example. And you run successfully because we don't have a test now. Let's come down to our temp folder. And we should have another one in there. You know what I want to put into git ignore though is the contents of temp. I go get status, it's not even a Git repository. Let's make it one. Git init. Okay, that worked. Temp folder is not there, but I want to force add the temp.git. Oh, sorry, temp/git keep git status. So that's in there, but the other files are not. We don't want to put those in. It doesn't matter if we put them into source control. There's nothing sensitive in them, but I would just, I don't know, it seems cleaner. All right, so cool. Then let us get you and you. So you now have a name. So what you need to actually configure is a storage file store configure onto self. That's not going to work though, because we don't have this configure method defined on storage file store. What? Oh, because nothing's calling configure. That's fine. That's really fine. So we'll need to undo that. We'll need to undo that. We don't have a test for that yet. Have some semblance of decency here. And we come back to you to grab your module configure. Like so and so and so. And dink dink. And here we are right back here. That was not what we expected. Okay, there we go. Right, system clipboard. Not the Vim one. All right, so you're going to get a receiver session, and since I don't have to type it myself, we'll go with it. No. Forget it. We're not having this complication that we don't need. So you where are we? I'm putting this in the wrong place. This needs to be on the storage, doesn't it? No, I copied this from the right. 1 second. Where did I copy this from? Lib messaging, right. Yes. Okay, yes, I'm doing this in the wrong place right now. So I'm just going to revert. We will put you back as you were. And we will put you back as you were. We need to add it to the storage thingy majig. Dunk dunk. This one needs to have it. So you def self.configure. You receive a file name. Nope. You receive first a receiver, and you must receive a file name. We're not going to make that optional. So this thing's job is to get an instance build passing that file name. And then now that we have that instance, we can say receiver dot store equals instance. Now that will fail because our receiver doesn't have an instance of store. That wasn't supposed to happen. We're not calling it. We're still not calling it, right? Right. Sorry, I was going on about how we weren't putting that other thing in the right place. We actually do need this to be in here. Let's get this configure. Because build is going to need to tell the instance to configure itself. Like so. And this is where the file name would need to be chained through. So let's bite the bullet and do it here. File name, which means the call would need to receive a file name. We'll just have to fix that in a few places. That's okay. And since it would have been built with that file name, we're all good. No, unless we're just going to... No, that's a property of our storage thing. We already established that. Not going to revisit it. Module configure is not defined, right? Yeah, name error. So let's define it. So this is then the receiver. We're not dealing with the adder name. Oh, hang on a second. We don't need this yet. Right. Because we're trying to use it. I think. Let's think through this. Okay, so we are calling the call method. And to do that, we just need to build it. Right, but to build it, header instance build. Yes, this is when we are being configured onto something else. I just want to double check this. Oh, no, we do call our own configure. Do we? Instance equals new. Oh, this is the class level configure. Oh, yeah, it does. Silly me. Okay, this. Right. Okay, I follow again. So let's see here. We don't need the class level configure yet, but we do need the instance level configure. And that is where'd you go? The file right one. Right, this is the one here. So you need the file name, and so do you. What do I think is going to happen? So let's make sure we understand what's going on here. So we're calling the call method on our storage medium specific class. Even though it's a storage specific one, because it includes the module, we are going to end up using the module's call. And we don't need you right now. Module's call right here is going to build right here, make the instance, configure the telemetry, and then defer to the instance to configure itself, which will drop to here, which will configure a storage file store onto our instance, and then we will invoke the instance. And what's the instance going to do? Well, nothing right now. So I think this should pass, provided we did put the configure here, and we did. However, the name of where that's going to configure itself, we don't have that yet. So we can come up here, and that is where this other our dependency comes into play. So this dependency is going to be called store. And we don't give it an interface to follow. I think this will pass now. Did not. Wrong number of arguments given 1, expected 2 for libtext write at line 32. Because you expected a file name when we didn't give it one. That's right. So file name right there. Now it passes. Huzzah. We didn't actually write to a file though, because we don't have that line in our code yet. So more better example. We can see that's empty. Fantastic. All right. So now we need to actually write to the file. And the way that we would do that is we come to our instance level call method. In addition to the telemetry, then we are going to say storage, or store rather, the text. But we don't have a test requiring this yet. So let's write that first. So let's see, lines equals file.read lines from the file name. And we learned we want to say chomp true. Test. Text was written to file. Do. And we want to assert that lines.length is equal to 1. Undefined local variable, right. Because this is supposed to be an underscore. Assertion failure. Great. So now we come in here, we can uncomment that. And now we pass. Great. So now let's make sure that we got, let's see, text content. What did we call that in the other one? Test automated storage. Storage, file, store, written text. Oh, let's get rid of those. Basically, we want this exact same test here again. And let's see, written text matches do. Wow, that looks great. Like so, and I believe the test should still pass. It didn't. Right, because we don't have, don't we? Undefined method text for main object. At test automated file write 18. Oh, spelled that incorrectly. There we go. Okay, great. Okay, that's a fantastic place to be. Not quite ready for the meetup yet. I'll have some time between the end of work today and going to that, but I want to get all the tests running again, and they won't because reasons. We moved some files around, so let's come here. That is the one we were just doing, so that one would work. You need to go, you're in substitute to write the text, and then one more. Yeah, add one more there and add one more here. Theory, that fixes it all. Better. Let's have a look-see though. What did we get wrong here? So wrong number of arguments, given 0, expected 1. In lib text write substitute. That's fine. That's fine. We can fix this. So let's see. Lib text write. Oh, here we are. Given 0, expected 1. Lib text write substitute 5. When we build one, we are supposed to give it a file name, right? Yeah, we don't have one though. What do we do about that? Oh, we would require a file name here so that we could pass it along. So that will just move where that error is to the test file, right? Expected 1. Lib text. Well, that's the file that's open here. So 23 build file name. Right, who's my caller? Sorry, let's make this bigger so I can see it. Wrong number given 1. So that is where the error was detected, but the caller was text controls right. So text controls right. Example build, right? So you would need a file name. So we can just say file name equals file name dot example, and then we can pass that in like so. And we've got some undefined method configures, which is where this would come into play now. Virtual is not going to work though, because we don't have that gem, I believe. Yep. So then we come to gem spec file. And now we want EVT virtual. Posture equals development to install gems. Great. But we also need to get it required in. So we could go to text and say require virtual to pull that gem we just got. Run the test again. Didn't like that. Why did it not like that? Undefined method virtual. Strange that it didn't complain sooner. That happened at line 13. Virtual configure. Let us, let's see, Eventide project. Virtual is the gem. All right, let's see. Virtual, EVT virtual is correct. And then lib virtual. So I think that should have worked, but it didn't. So obviously something is wrong. But that sort of says hello there, doesn't it? Yeah, we're getting called. Why? Oh, duh. No, yes. Right. We have to no, it's in this file here. Back in our right here. We have to include virtual like so. There we go. Now we're back to something slightly better. One error. So libtext write substitute. Libtext write substitute at line 4. Who's calling you? We would find out right up here. It is text write substitute recorded data. Oh no, sorry. Split test. No, not that. Test automated text write substitute recorded data at line 6. You are not giving a file name, so we would need to get a file name. Controls file name dot example, and then pass you in there. We've got our configure that's off again. Undefined method configure because the substitute does not have one is my guess. Does that mean that the messaging right substitute does have a configure method on it? Do I have that file open? I do not. Seems like it would need one. Huh, it doesn't. Ah, that is that where? Abstract configure. Pure virtual must be implemented. That's what I thought would happen there. How does that one not have that error? I'm going to close you because I don't need you. Let's see. This is the substitute. Let's open the actual module here. And this configure puts it at the class level, not at the instance level. And other than those, there is not a separate configure method. That's fine. But this is the substitute. Where do you... Where do you get your configure method from? Extract configure. When we build it, let's have a look back at ours. So this is text write. Our build calls the instance configure. Virtual configure, but that's in our control. That's fine. We would expect that, but the substitute, where does the substitute get its configure method from? Well, maybe we're doing our tests. Maybe the event type tests don't hit it in the same way. So we could say, let's have a look at this written message test. Right? Substitute build. We'll call this method. So the call path never invokes the configure on it. Okay, so we're doing our call path differently in a way that's causing it to crash. So I want to leave that abstract in there because we don't want to be able to call that. But let's have a look at our test here. Right substitute build. Right substitute. Substitute right build. That's where it would end up hitting that root one, isn't it? So maybe I didn't understand it as well as I thought I had. Yeah, substitute right build is going to call this. Ruby test automated. Right substitute right. No message right written message.rb passes. Clearly passes. I mean, it wouldn't be checked in if it didn't pass. That's fine. But this call right here, we're going to hit that more than once, several times. Yeah, we hit that. So then put root build. Not called. Oh. It overrides build. Okay, so that's what we're missing. Gotcha. All right. That is all good. So text right substitute, we need to override our build method here. Like so. And you're supposed to take a file name that we will promptly ignore, not do anything with it. So then we need to, there we go. There we go. Okay, good. All right. All is right in the world. We don't have an automated test checking this, but not all tests need to be automated, do they? I'm not going to deal with the logger in this, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that now. Get rid of those two. We will end up using this at some point as well as that, I believe. So where are we with it? This is important note taking. So, got the, what I'm trying to say. So full, okay. Let's progress on the meetup prep. What we did was, we renamed the module to text to distinguish it from the lower level storage concept. The text class is the flow of writing, and storage does the mechanics of writing. You know what? I'm going to do this part off camera. That's kind of silly to be doing this part. Anyway, thanks for coming, everyone. Meetups tonight, where you'll get a version of this without all the what's going on kind of stuff. So have a great day. Till next time. Happy coding.